Alright, welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at how army building works in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. That is a 10th edition. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Simplified, not simple, isn't an empty statement. It's deep design philosophy that touches all parts of the new edition of Warhammer 40,000, including how to muster an army. The detachment system has been a mainstay of Warhammer 40,000 for decades, in one form or another. Battlefield roles and Old Force organization charts were originally intended to help people structure their armies, but always come at the cost of the arbitrary restrictions and expectations. It served the game well. The battlefield roles are out, and major new flexibility is in. For the new edition, the rules team have tried to incentivize the use of a wider range of units by ensuring that each one has a cool, unique ability to bring to the field. Troops are no longer a tax you must pay to unlock the units you actually want to take, but you'll absolutely still be seeing plenty of classic frontline squads showing up on the field. Alright, and then here we have a little mustering your army chart. 1. Select battle size. 2. Start your army roster. 3. Choose a faction. 4. Select detachment rules. 5. Select units. And 6. Promote your warlord. Man, does this seem awfully familiar. It's almost like it was taken exactly from Age of Sigmar. And if you don't play Age of Sigmar, just wait, because essentially 40k is just taking all the good stuff from Age of Sigmar and just moving it over to the 41st millennia. Alright, so we'll start right here with battle size. There are now 3 main army sizes: Incursion 1000 points, Strike Force 2000 points, and Onslaught 3000 points. 500 point games are still perfectly possible, of course, but the Warhammer 40,000 core rules are optimized for slightly larger forces than that. Power levels are a thing of the past. Points are now the order of the day. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Having 500 point games, 1000 point games, and 2000 point games makes a lot more sense to me, honestly, but I get what they're going with Onslaught because people do like to use larger armies for bigger games, etc. But the best thing I think listed here is that power levels are a thing of the past. Games Workshop already couldn't balance their games, or at least struggled a lot to balance Warhammer 40,000. So getting rid of power level makes a lot of sense, because if you can't balance points, why do you want to add power as well and then try to balance two things at once? If you're already failing at one job, you don't need a second job. So excellent choice to get rid of power levels. Army roster is next. Rosters can be anything you want them to be. You'll be able to download blank printable roster sheets from Warhammer Community, use the upcoming new Warhammer 40,000 app, or even write it all down on a piece of paper. Just make sure your opponent can see it before you start. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then next we have select a faction. This step hasn't changed. Pick your favorite army and prepare for battle. This step also decides your faction keyword. Note that it's quite rare to pick allies in most game modes. It's assumed that your force will be drawn from a single faction. However, if you want to play larger games representing the combined forces of, say, the Imperial Indominus Crusade fleet, you absolutely can in a casual setting. Okay, so it says in a casual setting. So it sounds to me like allies will be removed again for this. So it was kind of like a fun thing they threw in at the end of the edition. Have fun, take some allies, allied detachment, etc. But it does sound like, at least competitive-wise, they're going away again. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to sit with factions like Imperial Knights, so I guess we'll have to see in time. So next we have select detachment rules. Here's where the difference begin to show themselves. Instead of choosing a subfaction or constructing your own, you now choose a single set of detachment rules for your whole army. These include special abilities, enhancements, stratagems, and unit restrictions. So this is exactly what we saw in the World Eaters Codex. You basically have like 2 subfactions. You're like regular World Eaters, and then you have the Red Angel subfaction or something like that. And essentially there's additional restrictions if you choose the second one over the first one, but you do also gain some different benefits as well. And I think that's great, because that lets it so they can specifically tune the stratagems, the warlord traits, the relics, all that stuff specifically to what you're able to take and what your selections are, rather than having 20 or 50 different stratagems and then trying to balance it without realizing that there's a million different ways that someone can break the game when there's that many options. For instance, you might be playing as the Gladius Task Force of the Adeptus Astartes. Your faction gives you the Oath of Moment army rule, more on this next week, while your detachment gives you access to 6 unique stratagems, on top of the core group in the main rules, as well as 4 exclusive enhancements for your Space Marine characters. It also bags you the Combat Doctrines ability, which allows you to pick from 3 powerful doctrines during your command phase. If you choose to fight with a different detachment, you replace the stratagems, enhancements, and combat doctrines with those of the new detachment. Detachment choices will very rarely be tied to any army color scheme, so while Ultramarines might be theoretical and practical masters of the Gladius task force, the other chapters can use it too. The same will be true for many other detachments as they are added into the game. This also means that you can try multiple detachments with the single army. You're not going to be locked into a single detachment just because you painted your army blue or red or yellow. This is an incredibly flexible system that allow for many weird and wonderful armies in future codexes. So that's a little interesting. I'm not sure exactly how they're going with that. I do like the idea that if your guys are blue, they don't have to be Ultramarines, but it was sort of always that way. Some of the unique things about the different like sub-factions for Space Marines are what made it so awesome. So I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go. Overall, I think it's a good choice. So next we have pick units. Picking units. At least one character, max one of each epic hero, up to 3 of the same datasheet, up to 6 of the same battle line or dedicated transport. So that's pretty cool. If you're taking more than 6 of a battle line or dedicated transport, you were probably abusing the system anyway. Rule of 3 is still in full effect. So yeah, I like it. Using the faction keyword you picked earlier, you can now select units that you want to include in your army with the following stipulations. You must include at least one character. You can only include one of each named epic hero. You can only include up to 3 units of each datasheet. However, you can include up to 6 units of each datasheet with the battle line or dedicated transport keywords. Each character can only have 1 enhancement. You can't include more than 3 enhancements in total, and these must all be different. So I don't know if there's any Sigmar players out there that are watching this, but obviously all of this is basically taken straight from Sigmar. They changed up a couple of names and everything, but they are essentially just using all of the awesome dynamics that are in Sigmar that makes it such a great game, and they're basically just moving that over to 40k and adapting it where necessary. And honestly, I think it's a great idea. Select Warlord. You now choose one character as your leader. They gain the Warlord keyword, and you're ready to select your missions. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. There's a real power in the simplicity of the new system. Now no detachment will ever need more than a couple of pages to cover all its unique rules and restrictions, meaning there will never again be any need to waste time flicking through codex pages to find the right rule. From the very start of this new edition, we'll be releasing dozens of packs of affordable index cards, which will collect all the rules and datasheets in one place for easy reference. These will also be available for free online and in the new app. So again, I think that is absolutely wonderful. Obviously, people are very skeptical because we have heard this all before. Going into 9th edition, it was going to be simpler, it was going to be streamlined, all the same stuff they're saying now. But honestly, I think that was their intent, and they just got out of hand again. I think now they are actually making a conscious effort, and now we have seen Age of Sigmar out for a while, and it has gone extremely well. Now, obviously, there's always going to be some balance issues, and some things are going to creep up and creep down, but overall, the game plays better, it's more fun, and there's less rules intensive, but you're not losing any of the cool stuff. For a long time, I have been talking about how the war scrolls in Sigmar are absolutely amazing. Having the cards, being able to take just those cards and lay them out on your table as you're playing, as opposed to having to flip back and forth between all your data sheets. And it sounds like that's exactly what they're doing for 40k. And then also, not only can you buy these packs of cards, and they will also be available for free online and in the new app. So you can download them, print them off yourself. You can have them digitally, or you can have physical copies that you either made or purchased. Honestly, I love it. So we have a couple sub points here. In fact, smaller games can be catered to perfectly with Combat Patrol format, which we'll take a good look at later. And I think that makes sense because the problem with like 500 point games, and we see this obviously in Sigmar with like 500, even 1,000 point games, it's very, very difficult to balance at lower levels, especially because Warhammer is essentially like Hero Hammer, and one single character or unit can be extremely, extremely powerful. And if your opponent doesn't have something to counter that, all the points in the world aren't going to help them in a smaller game. And finally, though exemptions are in place for classic cross-faction combos like Summoned Chaos Demons, Freeblade Knights, or Brood Brothers. So that's great. So you'll still be able to do Chaos Demons mixed in. You'll still be able to do Freeblade Knights mixed in. And then, of course, Brood Brothers for the GSC. So very, very cool. I'm a big fan of this. I think it's great. I think they are basically testing a lot of stuff in Sigmar and then moving it into 40k. And I think it's wonderful. The same exact thing happened with Kill Team. Kill Team, the old game was fun. It was okay. There was a lot of issues. And then Warcry came out, the new edition, and was awesome. Still is very, very fun. Obviously not nearly as popular, but they essentially adapted a ton of the rules from Warcry into the new Kill Team. And now Kill Team is the best it has ever been. Full stop. So the idea that they're going to do this also for 40k and take all the cool stuff from Sigmar and bring it over here, I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So I'm super psyched for this. I'm very excited that everyone's going to have access to free rules. And then people like me can still buy codexes if we want, because we enjoy the books and the art and the physical copies. But for the people out there that just want stuff free or just want it in digital form on app, it's all there for you. And honestly, I think this is great. So congratulations, Games Workshop, on listening to the fans, listening to the community, the players, and actually doing what we request. This is only the beginning, obviously, and of course they're going to spin a grandiose vision that has everything we want, and of course some compromises are going to be made along the way, but I'm going to stay optimistic on this new edition, the new rules, and everything coming, and then we'll see what happens from there. But honestly, as somebody that has the World Eaters Codex and sees what this looks like, they basically broke it down. So you have your faction World Eaters, you have your sub faction, which is your like standard World Eaters, and then your more demon focused World Eaters. Each of those has a few special rules, some warlord traits, some upgrade relics, all that cool stuff. And then it also has a couple of stratagems as well. And the way it's broken down into 2 pages is absolutely amazing. So honestly, I really like all these changes, and I'm really looking forward to where Games Workshop takes it, as obviously I do love Warhammer. So let me know what you think down below. Is there anything you're a little cautious about? Anything you're a little excited about? Did I brush over something that you don't quite understand? Please let me know down below, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. I always like to interact with the community, and I've got some big plans coming up, some super exciting stuff, and I know you guys are really going to like it, so stay tuned. Make sure you don't miss those. Well, that's it for today. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check them out to save 15%. Link in the description. And that's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man. And there's something about that 10th edition that's just got me excited. And I'm out of here.